Kurt Russell. There's a version of Kurt Russell most people never think about. Not the one with the snake tattoo running Manhattan, not the lawman with a legendary mustache, and not the grizzled survivalist in some frozen wasteland. The version most people never consider is a 22-year-old kid standing in a doctor's office, being told that the only life he ever really wanted was finished. No cameras, no audience, no second take. Just a young man absorbing the kind of news that doesn't come with a script. What happened next says everything about who Kurt Russell actually is. Not the character, the man. To understand that, you have to go back to the beginning. To Springfield, Massachusetts, where Russell was born on March 17, 1951, before his family put down roots in Thousand Oaks, California. He grew up in a full house, the only brother among 3 sisters, Jill, Hamie, and Jody, in a family where 2 very different worlds existed side by side. His father, Bing Russell, was a man who knew exactly what it felt like to watch a dream slip through your fingers. A promising baseball career had been cut short by injury, redirecting him toward acting, where he eventually became familiar to television audiences as Deputy Clem Foster on Bonanza. But the game never left him. Baseball wasn't just something Bing had done, it was something he carried. He later founded the Portland Mavericks, an independent minor league team that opened its doors to players the professional system had written off. Their story was eventually documented in the acclaimed film, The Battered Bastards of Baseball. Bing's love for the sport ran deep enough to have roots in legend. As a young boy growing up in New York, he had served as an unofficial mascot for the Yankees, forming friendships with players like Lefty Gomez and Joe DiMaggio. Lou Gehrig himself had reportedly placed a bat into young Bing's hands, the last one he used to hit a home run before his illness forced him from the game. Inside the Russell household, stories like that weren't distant history. They were family lore, told often enough to feel personal. Bing passed that reverence for baseball to his children not as a lesson, but as a way of life. Kurt grew up with 2 worlds pulling at him in opposite directions. One world was the studio. Lights, cameras, marks on the floor, and the art of becoming someone else on command. The other world was the ballpark. Grass, leather, and a kind of honesty that performance could never quite replicate. He was a competitive kid who raced quarter-midget cars with his sisters and accumulated trophies along the West Coast. But baseball wasn't just another activity. It was the thing that felt most real to him. On a movie set, you could always call for another take. On a baseball diamond, there were no do-overs. Every error was yours to own. Every great play was yours to carry. That unforgiving clarity was what drew him in and held him there. When Kurt was just 15, Walt Disney noticed him and signed him to an exclusive 10-year contract. Throughout the late 1960s and into the early 1970s, he became one of the studio's most recognizable young faces, appearing in films like The Barefoot Executive and Superdad, projecting exactly the wholesome, reliable image Disney carefully maintained. One of the stranger footnotes from that era involves Disney himself. In December 1966, during the final days of his life, Disney scrawled a list of names on a notepad. At the bottom, in pencil, he wrote a misspelled version of Kurt's name. Years later, a studio archivist showed Russell that document inside Disney's preserved private office. Nobody has ever fully explained why that name was there or what Disney had intended. Russell looked at it, stood quietly for a moment, and left with a mystery that was never solved. But no matter how many films he made, or how recognizable his face became, Kurt Russell never fully believed that Hollywood was his real destination. Baseball was. Throughout the early 1970s, he played second base in the California Angels minor league system, treating his acting career as the thing that paid the bills while he pursued the thing that actually mattered to him. Away from studios and scripts, he was free. The game asked only for preparation, focus, and performance. No image management, no public relations, just results. Then came the spring of 1973. Playing for the Double-A El Paso Sun Kings, the 22-year-old was off to a remarkable start, batting .563 early in the season, playing with a confidence that made the dream feel genuinely close. Then, During what should have been a routine double play, an opposing base runner slid hard and high into his shoulder. Russell tried to shake it off. Athletes always do. By the next morning, the pain and swelling had made denial impossible. A teammate pushed him toward a specialist, and the specialist